Does the color of the sky mean anything special to you? It does to me. A hell of a lot. When I close my eyes, the sky in my dreams is a deep, dark blue.
The Kingdom of Erusia has declared war on the Ocean Federation. I repeat.
Bogey approaching fast from the rear. Did the jailer know about the shitstorm he was sending us into?
Penal units are just pawns.
What's with this guy? That's an SU-30.
We don't want to mess with this guy.
All we can do is fly away as fast as we can.
So you simply watch things unfold from a distance.
Yeah. I mean, who would have ever thought that I'd just go and follow him straight into the enemy squadron like that?
He really is foolish, isn't he?
Yep, sure is.
Soul 1, what's your status?
Well, I'm feeling a little excited.
Trigger's taking the beast head on. I see the mark on his tail. You defile this country. As long as you're here, this country will never know peace.
Yet what is a nation?
I don't even have a country to call home.
I wonder which path you would choose when looking at Harlan's mirror.
Gargoyle 3 to battle. Ocean fighters do not attack. Shit, I mean, why are we being made to do this?
Yeah, I know. I'm heading into hell. Whatever. Adios, you damn fool.
Adjusting angle. No! Aim for the one with 3 strikes. Render foe, so be it.
Fire! Hit, damn it!
10 seconds until the united attack on the Arsenal bird.
There are even rumors of penal units turning on their former allies.
Rumors. What kept the world relatively sane up to that point had been free-flowing data and information. But now, those were gone.
Everybody, give this attack everything you've got. Fire! What other choice do we have? I know. All aircraft, form up on trigger, nice and tight. Stick with trigger and you'll make it.
That's the aircraft my grandfather told me about.
There are pilots like you in every generation, and I felled every last one of them.
Hey, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Trigger, can you hear me? All survivors, respond.
Can anyone hear me? That aircraft needs to be taken care of.
Can you hear me? Pilot with the 3 strikes.
What's up, everybody? It's AFarCryAway. It's like 5:30 in the morning. I didn't think I was going to be making a video, but if you are watching this right now and you are at all a fan of the Ace Combat series, there's a new trailer out. That's what's playing in the background right now for the new Ace Combat 7. I highly recommend you pause this and go watch it on your own first, instead of listening to my stupid face talk over it. But holy shit, guys. This game, like, the hype is real, and it's coming out relatively soon. We were expecting it to come out this year, but it actually got delayed again, I guess. But that's okay, because it literally is coming out in January of next year, so it's like right around the corner. And I'm not really like a super mega fan of Ace Combat. If you want more of like a trailer breakdown of this trailer, go check out Ace Combat Fan's YouTube channel. He really is into this game, like way more than I am. But I just wanted to quickly let people who don't really know anything about Ace Combat, I just wanted you guys to know like how good this series is. It's definitely one of, I think, the most like underrated series of all time. I know there's a lot of Ace Combat fans out there, but like seriously, I've never met any in person. I don't think I know anyone, like I don't think I have any friends who are like, oh yeah, Ace Combat, let's go. I think I have a few people on Twitter who are my friends who know about Ace Combat and enjoy it, and I think that's it. So I want to let you guys know just a really basic synopsis here of why I love Ace Combat. It's like this series where they took this really compelling and fun, addicting, arcadey, you know, flight air combat, and then paired it with like a Metal Gear-esque, like, emotional storyline. For perspective here, in one of the games, you get to choose what kind of fighter pilot you want to be. Are you going to be like a mercenary who kills everything for money? Are you going to be like noble and only shoot down targets that are actual like targets and not civilians or, you know, factories and things? Or do you want to be kind of like a mixture of the two? And at the end of the game, you end up having a showdown against one of your former like buddies in the sky. And you're fighting and having this one-on-one dogfight, and it's set to some of the most epic music I've ever heard in a video game. And it's just got this really cool, like, it's almost like a tango kind of thing going on. I love it. That's Ace Combat 0, and then in Ace Combat 5, I believe that's the one where you start off as kind of like the new guy in the squad, and you kind of work your way up, and then there's a bunch of like crazy like betrayals and plot twists, and there's all this like espionage going on. It's crazy. And like, if you haven't played any of the Ace Combats, I definitely recommend playing 4, 5, and 0. You can play them on the PlayStation 2, you could probably emulate them if you can find, you know, the CDs out there. You can probably run it on your PS2 emulator. That's how I played them. And I love those games. So if you have any kind of inclination to play any of the Ace Combats, if this looks interesting to you, go back and play those old ones because they're fantastic. But if you're watching this trailer and you see that there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of action going on, there's a lot of stuff here. These nations that are fighting in this trailer go all the way back to like those earlier games, so you will understand what's going on a little bit better if you go play those. But just to be honest, the story can be a little bit convoluted and a little bit overwhelming and a little bit overbearing, in that like there's just so much going on in it that it can be like, you know, you can kind of just tune out a bit. I mean, at the end of the day, what's important is like, you know, 2 nations or 3 nations are fighting, and there you go. And the game kind of explains everything as you go. So there's a lot there for you to unpack if you want to, but it's also a game where if you're kind of more of the like one and done kind of person, you can play through this, have a great time, enjoy a really good story, and then never think about it again. So it's definitely good for both kind of mindsets. Now, in terms of the gameplay itself, it's very addicting. There's a lot of replayability to the missions because you can always challenge yourself to do them faster, better, or just to do them in a more stylish way, you know? Sometimes flying efficiently is not nearly as much fun as flying like a crazy person. And I think playing Project Wingman, which is an early access game that also runs on Unreal Engine 4, that's a jet fighting game that's coming out, I believe next year as well. It's kind of taught me that, you know, you can technically fly efficiently and hit multiple targets at the same time and get a really high score, but it's also fun to do loop-de-loops and barrel rolling or aileron rolls. How do you say that fucking word? I can't say it. Point is, aileron? Whatever. Point is, you're doing rolls all over the place and acting like a crazy person. It's so much fun to fly in that game. But it's also really fun to fly in Ace Combat, and I'm just really excited to see even more. However, at the same time, I kind of don't want them to show us more, because I think this is the perfect amount of gameplay and story to show off to, you know, keep us over for the next few months until it comes out. The Ace Combat community has been very patient waiting for this game, so I think a few more months isn't going to kill anybody. Well, I mean, theoretically it could, but let's hope not, right? I really love the whole concept of this game too, with the story, in that you're in a, I believe at least, you're part of like a penal battalion, meaning that you're like working, I think you're either working with the nation that you fought against, or you're like prisoners that are drafted into your own nation's army. It's kind of confusing. I don't really understand the background leading up to the story of this game. Like I said, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, Ace Combat fans videos will have you covered. But this game definitely has this like interesting spin on the formula, because you're not just fighting for your country anymore. You're fighting in this like penal battalion where your allegiances aren't necessarily set in stone. So I mean, the story could take so many different twists with just that alone. But then on top of that, they've introduced drones and drone warfare into this game. So you're fighting things like the Arsenal Bird, which is this giant boss, like UAV plane that can launch mini drones out from its stomach or whatever, or its, you know, underbelly, to come and fight you. And you have to, you know, fend yourself off against like thousands of swarming robots. So I think this game just has so much cool shit going on for it, and Ace Combat fans across the world should be hyped. And I think even if you don't know anything about Ace Combat, you should be very hyped as well, because this game earns its stripes. I don't see how this could be a bad game. I think it would take some sort of miracle for them to mess this game up. The only way I could see this game being like a failure in my eyes would be if it's just like incredibly short. Like if they have all this hype and trailer hype and then it's only like a 2-hour game, okay, then they failed. But I highly doubt that. If you go play any of the Ace Combats on the PS2, the games are at least 8 or more hours long to play through, just in the single player, and that's not counting like the arcade modes, things like of that nature. And I just, man, I can't wait to play this game. It looks so pretty. The cutscenes look great. The story is interesting. The music is fantastic. And speaking of the music, that leads into also those boss fights like I was referring to. The series is really renowned for its like boss fights, and it almost kind of ties into that Metal Gear analogy as well, of how this game kind of reminds me of Metal Gear in a lot of ways. Yeah, there's boss fights, like the Arsenal Bird in the trailers for Ace Combat 7 must be one of the bosses you go up against. And then I believe in all the Ace Combats, there's these like giant enemy machines you have to fight up against. And I know in Ace Combat 5 you end up taking on this giant nuclear equipped like submarine, and it's like defended by a lot of like enemy like frigates and ships, and it's this huge battle up in like the Arctic Ocean with like icebergs everywhere. Like, it's so epic. And so I'm just looking forward to seeing how they can top that in this game. It already looks like they're going to be able to do that. I'm sure you're going to, I mean, there's parts where you're like fighting around this giant space elevator. There's parts where you're fighting in the desert, then you're fighting near this oil rig, and then you're fighting this like in this giant canyon and cannon area, and then in the sea. It's all over the place. I'm just so hyped. I'm sorry. It's hard to like contain it. And you know, give you concise information. But if you haven't heard about Ace Combat, now's the time to jump on the bandwagon. If you don't know what's going on here, this game is going to rock your socks. Actually, in a weird way, I kind of am envious of you who haven't played any of these before, because if this is your first game in the series, it's gonna knock your fucking socks off, okay? Like, no exaggeration. So thank you guys so much for watching this video and checking out this trailer with me. Like I said, go watch it on your own for the full experience. And again, thank you all so very, very much for watching. If you liked the video, leave it a like and subscribe, because I will be talking about all sorts of upcoming tactical shooter games, and I'm also covering Project Wingman and Ace Combat as well. So, you know, not as much on the Ace Combat stuff, but like I said, you've got Ace Combat fan who can totally fill you in on anything else you want to know about this game. But I'll be checking it out too for sure when it releases. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, if you want to see more Ace Combat on my channel, leave it a like and let me know in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.